Fred, always great to talk with you. Thanks for coming on the program this evening.
Good to be here.
All right, so we're taking a look at our missile defense system. This review is apparently the first to update our missile defense policy since the Obama administration, and that was done all the way back in 2010, at least the last time a review was done. So why a 9-year gap?
Well, this is an important policy decision by the Trump administration. The Obama administration had devastated the U.S. missile defenses and actually had to re-implement some of that program when it became apparent how serious North Korea's nuclear program missile program had become. But the issue here is that North Korea and Iran now have missiles. Some North Korean missiles can already hit the United States. China's developing new missiles. Russia is developing very advanced missiles, including a hypersonic, super fast missile. So this program is going to deal with an assortment of new threats, and it's going to try to undo some of the damage done to the missile defense program by the Obama administration.
The president also addressed the deaths of 4 Americans who were killed in a suicide attack in Syria yesterday. Here's the president talking about that.
I want to take a moment to express my deepest condolences to the families of the brave American heroes who laid down their lives yesterday in selfless service to our nation. These are great people, great, great people. We will never forget their noble and immortal sacrifice.
So ISIS has claimed responsibility for that attack. Some people like Senator Lindsey Graham pounced and said this proves that we need to stay in Syria because ISIS is still attacking and active. What's your take on this, Fred?
Well, look, Syria is a mess. The president inherited a mess from Barack Obama. We could solve Syria if we invaded it with 50 to 100,000 troops, went to war with the Syrian government, Russia, Iran, Hezbollah. No one wants that. American people don't want that. President Trump's not going to do that. President Trump also holds a position that American troops cannot remain in Syria indefinitely. And I'm afraid as long as our troops are there are going to be some serious threats that our troops have to deal with. So the president is struggling to find a way to withdraw from Syria, but also look out for our interests. And as long as our troops are there, there's going to be some very significant threats.
And this is one of the things that he ran on as a presidential candidate, withdrawing our troops from some of these endless conflicts. All right, let's switch gears, Fred, and talk about Russia, specifically the Mueller investigation and the accusation that's been floating around in a lot of the big media that President Trump or someone from his campaign colluded with the Russian government to swing the 2016 presidential election. Take a listen to what the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, had to say on the issue of collusion last night on CNN.
Well, you just misstated my position. I never said there was no collusion between the campaign or between people in the campaign.
Yes,
I have no idea if I have not. I said the President of the United States. There is not a single bit of evidence the President of the United States committed the only crime you could commit here, conspired with the Russians to hack the DNC.
Fred, what was your response to Rudy Giuliani's response to that question there from Jake Tapper?
Look, there's still no evidence of any collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. They can point to incidents such as Donald Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian attorney in Trump Tower in June 2016 that, it might have been a naive and a dumb thing to do, but it had nothing to do with the election. And I think there's a variety of unconnected and assorted incidents that you can dig up to try to string together some fake news story that there was collusion. But the fact is that Donald Trump won the election because he was a better candidate, and Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate, and the Democrats can't get over that.
Well, there's also a couple of reports out there, and I know you can clear these up for us, one from the Washington Post, another from the Wall Street Journal. They claim President Trump did not use note takers at his meeting last year with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and that the U.S. officials are in the dark about what exactly was discussed behind closed doors. You say, though, these stories are misleading. Can you explain, rather, Fred, for us, what really took place here and how the media is getting this wrong?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that, John. What happened here is the president took extraordinary measures to stop leaks of his one-on-one conversations with Russian President Putin. It's not true that his senior advisors were kept in the dark. They know everything that was discussed at both one-on-one meetings between Putin and the president. What happened here is that people in the swamp, the government officials in the swamp in Washington, they're irritated that they didn't get access to records of these meetings because they wanted to leak them to hurt the president. The issue here is the president outsmarted them. I can tell you as the former executive secretary of the National Security Council, senior officials know everything that was discussed in both meetings. And this idea that the U.S. government is kept in the dark, fake news.
Fake news. And why does it continue to perpetuate itself then, Fred?
Well, it's true there weren't note takers in both meetings. That's true. However, Secretary Tillerson was in the first meeting. He gave a full briefing on what happened. The fact is that President Trump did things differently. There are career officers who don't like the president. They don't like the way things are done. You know, hundreds, if not thousands of people in the government would ordinarily get minutes or records of presidential meetings. And after they were leaked repeatedly at the beginning of his presidency, Donald Trump said, enough, I'm going to restrict access to this information. It was the right call.
Right. And if that information gets out and gets in the wrong hands, it can be very dangerous. Fred, I encourage everybody to check out your column on that issue. Fred Fleitz, always great to see you, the president and the CEO of the Center for Security Policy, one of the sharpest minds you'll see here on Newsmax TV when it comes to national security. Fred, great to see you.
Good to be here.